Hey, what's up, guys? Andrew from American Musical Supply here at the Winter NAMM 2019 Fender booth. I'm here with Stan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Very good, thank
Awesome.
you.
Day one, we're all still like upright.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort of upright.
Well, I understand you guys have got some new pedals, and it'd be great if you could give us an overview and show us some sounds.
Okay, awesome. All right, so these are the 6, brand new for the show.
Okay.
So all 6 of these are launching. So what we have are 3 modulation pedals. We have a tube distortion, we have a bass multi, and we have a reverb tremolo kind of pedal. So starting over here, why not? So we have the Lost Highway phaser. It's an analog phaser. It has a couple of cool features. It has 2 sets of speed and depth controls, and you can kind of morph between them. So it speeds up and slows down like a Leslie would. So I'll just play a little bit. So there's the slow sound. I can kick it into fast. Speeds up, kind of smoothly goes down. All 3 of these have a cool feature where there's this dynamic sensing thing where if I play, like normally it's slow, but if I dig in, it'll speed up on its own. So this has 4 and 8 stages of phasing. It has sine or triangle modulation. And you can do a bunch of cool things with this. Like one of the things I like to do is, with a phaser, if you get rid of the dry signal, you don't hear it phasing. Like right now, it's actually phasing, but there's nothing to reference it to, so it just has like a straight guitar tone. However, if I go fast, I can turn it into a vibrato.
Oh, okay.
So the fast-slow switch just fades in and out of vibrato. And of course, then I can have the dynamic sensing where I'm playing quietly, fade in vibrato with it. So that's a kind of a fun thing. This is a true analog chorus, the bubbler chorus. It's a Bucket Brigade chip. It does all the same stuff, so fast, slow. And it has the same dynamic sensing ability. It's mono in, stereo out. The pinwheel is our rotary speaker simulator.
Okay.
So this pedal gets true stereo, and it's got a voicing switch, so it works well with guitar or keyboard setups. It's got a external continuous controller, like an expression pedal input or a foot switch input you can select. It has the same dynamic sensing, so you can speed it up and slow it down.
Okay.
It does a 145, a 122, and a vibratone.
Oh, okay.
So it's 3 different flavors of those kinds of things. And this also simulates the power amp into Leslie. So it gets the 6550s and it does the crossover and does the whole thing. So you can actually set it up where you can get it to kind of grind a little bit. And it's doing the same dynamic thing right now.
And I noticed it has a switch on the back, a voicing switch.
Yeah, so you can work well with keyboard rigs or guitar rigs.
Okay.
The Leslie cabinet is a really funny frequency response. It's got big, like low-end resonance and stuff, and the big boxiness of it. And sometimes if you plug that actual sound into a guitar amp that has its own mid-scoop, everything gets too huge and thunderous.
Gotcha. So
when it's switched on the guitar side, the pedal's kind of flatter responding and lets your guitar rig kind of dominate the tone.
Okay.
Meanwhile, if you go to like a flat keyboard amp, then the keyboard voicing gets all of the characteristic of the Leslie cabinet or the Vibratone cabinet.
Cool.
So yeah, so that's that. Starting up in this corner, this is a really cool pedal we did as a collaboration with our pal Bruce Egnator. Bruce is really awesome. And people know him as a tube guy, so that's what this is. This is a US New Old Stock Military 6205 tube distortion, and it's running on 150 volts. So when people go, oh, we have a high voltage thing, this really does run on 150 volts. But what's cool about it is it's got a switch mode power supply built in, so it just takes a normal 9-volt pedal board power.
Wow.
It takes about 300 milliamps, so you want to use a higher current power supply, but it'll run on 9 volts DC, no problem. So this pedal goes anywhere from kind of light and bluesy. And because it's running on high voltage, it cleans up nicely. So it's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
We have our Downtown Express. This was designed by Alex Aguilar, who's kind of known in the bass world. And so this is a bass multi. It's a compressor, it's an overdrive, it's an EQ. It has a DI output. It has a separate tuner output. So there's a mute switch for the tuner. You can change the order of overdrive first or compressor
Okay.
first. Alex did a wonderful job with the overdrive in that it's designed for a bass, so it doesn't rob you of low end, and it has built-in cabinet emulation. So if you plug it into a modern bass amp with a tweeter, or you go direct into the board, it doesn't sound like a fuzz pedal plugged in direct. It has a really beautiful, smooth kind of top end. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for bass players. We've got a lot more bass stuff coming down the pike, but we wanted to start somewhere.
Right.
And Alex is so great with that stuff, so it was fun to work with him.
Cool.
Lastly, we have the pedal that everybody was asking us to do last year, which is our tree verb. And so this is kind of everything from a Fender amp. This is a 63 spring and a 65 spring reverb. On one side, it's also got a fun kind of modulated plate, ambient plate thing that's like a washy thing that's fun to play with. And then on the tremolo vibrato side, it does an opto trem like a mid-60s deluxe reverb. It does a bias trem like a Princeton. And then it does a harmonic tremolo like some of the earlier Brown amps, or vibrato rather. So the reverb, we didn't do this last year because it took us a long time to get to the spring algorithm. You know, springs are really hard. They're really complex and complicated, and people work really long, arduous hours to get the sound of it. But we worked really hard, and it really has
drip, right?
Yeah, where you hear some of that stuff. So it was really fun. Like on the 63, it's got controls for dwell, tone, and blend. And the plates setting is pretty unusual too, in that it's just a good fun, big wet kind of ambient thing. On the tremolo side, there's opto, which is like kind of choppy. There's a bias trem. And then there's the harmonic vibrato, which I love. So there's a switch on the back where you can change the order of them.
Oh, okay.
So you can put the trem first or the trem last. And then there's a tap tempo mode built in, where if you hold the tremolo foot switch down, it goes into tap tempo mode.
Okay.
And so this is also true stereo in and out.
Wow.
So that's our lineup for 19.
Very cool. Thanks,
Awesome.
Stan.
Thank you very much.
If you're interested in checking out any of these Fender pedals, please visit AmericanMusical.com. Thanks so much, man.
Have a good show.